So two psalms for us today, and in strong contrast to yesterday's psalm, which celebrates the presence of the Lord wherever we go, and yes, wanting him to search our hearts, but that reassurance that from the moment our lives are conceived till the very end, wherever we are, he is with us. Now, two much more troubled psalms where the presence of evil is around and the psalmist is having to deal with that. So let's listen to these. For the director of music, a psalm of David. Rescue me, Lord, from evildoers. Protect me from the violent, who devise evil plans in their hearts and stir up war every day. They make their tongues as sharp as a serpent's. The poison of vipers is on their lips. Remember, this is a psalm of David, so it's written by God's king, a person responsible for the whole nation. Remember the constant conflict that occurs in the times that David is writing. And yet also there are those within the kingdom who are seeking to make life difficult for him, challenge his leadership, bring him down, so on. And so he's having to deal with this all the time, and is feeling that, and he calls out to the Lord in this. It's interesting, isn't it, that in a sense, although they are violent, very much it's the devising of evil plans, it's the stirring, it's the tongues as sharp as serpents that he's feeling. So it's not so much physical attack, it would seem, at this stage, but actually just the rumour mill, the accusations, the politics around him. And we might not feel that in terms of global warfare and leading a nation, but we can be very sensitive to the things that are being said around us and feeling that those who are evil are actually making life difficult, and it can just be very wearing. And so David calls out to the Lord, rescue me. Keep me safe, Lord, from the hands of the wicked. Protect me from the violent who devise ways to trip my feet. The arrogant have hidden a snare for me. They've spread out the cords of their net and have set traps for me along my path. There's a sense then that, again, this is a hidden warfare. They're looking to trip him up. They're looking to catch him out. It reminds us of the story of Daniel we looked at recently, didn't it, where the law about no praying in order to try and catch him out so they could get him into trouble. That's what David's sensing here. And the whole thing about traps is we can't see them, we can't know them. And so, again, David is calling out to the Lord, who sees and knows all things, to keep him safe from those who would try this. I say to the Lord, you are my God. Hear, Lord, my cry for mercy. Sovereign Lord, my strong deliverer, you shield my head in the day of battle. Do not grant the wicked their desires, Lord. Do not let their plans succeed. So in the midst of this difficulty, being surrounded, being wary, being worn down, he reminds himself, but also God, that God is his God, and he then calls out to God and pleads with him to hear his cry for mercy. But he reminds himself again that he's the sovereign Lord, he's in control of all things, he is the strong deliverer, he is his shield. He's reminding himself of these descriptions of the Lord, and then calls out to the Lord that the wicked would not succeed in their desires for wickedness, and particularly for harm to him. These are good things for us to be learning from in terms of the midst of difficulty, things to be praying for, reminding ourselves of our covenant relationship with God. He is our God, that our hope is not merit but mercy. It's not because we're great or good, but because he is kind, and we can pray that the plans of others would not come to fruition. Those who surround me proudly rear their heads. May the mischief of their lies engulf them. May burning coals fall on them. May they be thrown into the fire, into miry pits, never to rise. Again, we might be uncomfortable with this language, but David is longing for the end to all wickedness, and that is a right desire, surely. We might not see that we might see that played out in the lives of other human beings, but we see behind it the work of Satan and his evil demons, and we do long for them to be cast into that fiery pit that was prepared for them. We long that all men and women would escape that future, that they would turn in mercy to the Lord, but we do long for wickedness, for Satan and his influence to be ended in this world. May slanderers not be established in the land. May disaster hunt down the violent. I know that the Lord secures justice for the poor and upholds the cause of the needy. Surely the righteous will praise your name, and the upright will live in your presence. As this psalm comes to an end, then he longs that, that those who are causing trouble, those who are the hands and feet of Satan's wicked schemes, would come to an end, would be not able to get a grip, and that the Lord would ensure justice is done, and that the righteous and upright would live in his presence. That's our hope, isn't it? Long term. We know his presence now, but there is a day coming when there will be a new heavens and a new earth, when we will dwell in his presence forever. And we know that he will hold all accountable who have been unfair to the poor and needy, who have been the cause of their poverty and their need. And we look forward to that day of justice and judgment, but also that day of living in his presence forever. This next psalm moves on. A psalm of David. I call to you, Lord, come quickly to me. Hear me when I call you. May my prayer be set before you like incense. May the lifting up of my hands be like the evening sacrifice. There's a sense of urgency and a sense of need that his prayer will be acceptable in God's sight. Set a guard over my mouth, Lord. Keep watch over the door of my lips. Do not let my heart be drawn to what is evil, so that I take part in wicked deeds, along with those who are evildoers. Do not let me eat their delicacies. David is now feeling vulnerable himself, that he get caught up, drawn into this wicked behaviour, and so he asks the Lord to set a guard over his mouth, to watch his lips. Again, we see it's the lips, it's the tongue. It was part of the problem in the last psalm. It's where so much of the damage is done. It's not necessarily in physical actions, but through the lips. And David is asking that the Lord would keep a watch over the door of his lips, that wickedness would not escape, and that he would be kept from straying into the path of the evildoers. Again, this is not the proud and self-righteous man and how wicked they are and bash them all. He is longing for wickedness to end, but also he's conscious. He'd invited himself, the Lord, in to search his own heart in Psalm 139, and now he's saying, don't let my heart be drawn into this. Sense the battle. Let a righteous man strike me, that is a kindness. Let him rebuke me, that is oil on my head. My head will not refuse it, for my prayer will still be against the deeds of evildoers. This is interesting, isn't it? He's acknowledging his own need to be disciplined in this. And if there's a righteous man who needs to take him to task over his wrongdoing, Lord, that's a kindness, that's a good thing. When a godly man comes alongside and says, you've got this wrong, that sort of rebuke is welcome. But he's still praying against the deeds of evildoers. Their rulers will be thrown down from the cliffs, and the wicked will learn that my words were well spoken. They will say, as one ploughs and breaks up the earth, so our bones have been scattered at the mouth of the grave. David is predicting that at the end the wicked will come, they'll meet justice, they will meet their just deserts. It's violent language again, thrown down from the cliffs. The idea is being deposed, removed, cast down from the heights. And David is saying those wicked who currently are in places of authority and power and wealth and abusing others, their time will come. They'll come to an end. But my eyes are fixed on you, Sovereign Lord. In you I take refuge. Do not give me over to death. Keep me safe from the traps set by evildoers, from the snares they have laid for me. Let the wicked fall into their own nets while I pass by in safety. And so David finishes these two psalms in reflection on the Sovereign Lord, and he is expressing that deliberately he is taking action to take refuge in God. It's not just I know he's the refuge, but no, I'm taking refuge in you. I am coming to you now. I am hiding myself in you, conscious that I've got no resource to counter what's around me. I need your help to deal with what's in. I need the righteous to speak truth to me, but I also need your refuge from the dangers without. I don't know what you're facing today as you head out into the day, but may the Lord help us to be trusting in him and seeking refuge in him, dealing with our own hearts, speaking truth into it through righteous friends, but also helping us with all the